y'all, welcome back to my channel. I'm Melissa, the Written Adventure, and today we're doing the mid-year freakout tag. Tania, who I streamed with just a couple weeks ago, was nice enough to tag me in this. Her name is down below, and maybe I'll pop it up here somewhere. It was originally made by Curious Cat. Essentially, it is a mid-year tag for authors to talk about their projects. So the first question is, did you set any goals at the beginning of the year? What were they? And are you on track? My goals were to fast draft Project Mushroom. My goal was tentatively to be done drafting or like fast drafting in July. I've written 45,000 words and change of that. I've gotten to a place where I feel like I have enough of the story in mind that I know where it's going. I've now started outlining what a full first draft would look like. So I'm adding in things that I've already drafted, pulling it all together. It's a dual POV, so making sure that the chapters alternate between each character is really important, and I'm making sure I do that in this draft. So in that sense, I did finish that goal. I did finish fast drafting to the extent of I know what the story is and I know where to go next. There are certain arcs or scenes that I didn't fully flesh out just because I figured a later Melissa could figure that out. Next question is, what are you currently working on and how much have you done in that project or overall in the year? So I was just talking about Project Mushroom, which I can now put a fancy little mood board here because I have created that. So Project Mushroom is a sapphic, cozy fantasy where a witch and apothecary owner fall in love on a quest. So from this, I have fast drafted 45,000 words and like change. And now I have almost an 8,000 word outline that I'm working and incorporating my ideas from the fast draft into that outline. And while I have tons of other projects that are kind of like brewing in the back of my head, I also have something called Project Apple, which now also has a fun little mood board. And while I'm still trying to work out the kinks of it, I'm actually finding that I am outlining first instead of going right into writing, which is interesting because normally I go straight into writing and then figure it out as I go. I'm very much, I guess, a pantser in that way. After doing the first fast draft of Project Mushroom, I'm kind of finding that outlining first might be the way to go for Project Apple, so we'll find out. It is a historical dual POV where one protagonist is in the past and one is in the present. It's actually based off of the apple orchard that has been in my family for generations. It's been in my head that I wanted to tell the story about a little bit of my family, their history with like the apple orchard that my mom grew up on, my grandfather lived on, my great-grandfather bought when he first came over to America. So it's something that I've always wanted to kind of infuse somewhere, and I think I finally found the story to tell it. So that is dual POV, historical, I guess technically like book club women's fiction in that space with some sort of like speculative element to it. So that one I am just outlining. I have about 8,000 words of an outline drafted. It's interesting to see the two different ways in which I've been writing with Project Mushroom, where I've just fast drafted and now going back and outlining, and Project Apple is becoming more of an outline first, then draft. So I'm curious to see which one is going to be more, I hate to say productive, but which one is going to be more my style. I've always been a draft first, figure out problems later. Having now started Project Apple as an outline first, I'm curious to see if it'll be more productive or if I'll be more in tune with the story rather than drafting first and figuring out the problem second. I'm going to save the next question just because it's asking about if you hit any milestones in your writing, and I think just finishing my fast draft has been the milestone I wanted to get in July. So that's done. Hit a milestone. The next question is, what does your writing routine look like now? Has it changed at all from this past year or the previous year? And are you happy with it? My writing routine normally is that every Saturday and Sunday I will sit down for 2 hours or so and I will just write. I usually get about 4,000 words done in a weekend. This wasn't always the case. In January and February I was pretty busy and I wasn't writing. And then once like March hit, I was really consistently writing on the weekends. I have a writing group I write with on Saturdays over Discord, and then Sunday I go in person to a writing group. I'm more happy with the way that I'm writing now than I was in January or February, which was like a little bit more sporadic. I like having to sit down for like 2 hours at a time and just writing. And then on the weekdays, I kind of just write if I'm in the mood to write. But knowing that I have 2 set days that I have to write on Saturday and Sundays has like anything that's during the week then is kind of just like a bonus. I don't think I would change anything with that process, but maybe down the road I'll start writing on a Friday and then a Saturday, Sunday, and then recoup for the rest of the week. I haven't burnt out yet. But I feel like I can definitely reevaluate whenever I need to, and just kind of tweak things as it happens. The next question is if I encountered any good resources while writing. And I guess the only thing I can think of is the save the cat method. I can put a link down below about that, but essentially just a plotting device. A lot of the resources that I'm kind of using have been incorporated because of my bachelor's degree in English or in my master's degree in publishing. So a lot of that is kind of internalized. A lot of the craft books that I've read, I've kind of internalized, read, and then gotten, gave them away to other people. But there are tons of great craft books out there that are good resources for authors and for writers. Next question is about listening to music while you're writing. And it asks like, what is your favorite music to listen to? What is your go-to playlist? I listen to a pre-made Spotify playlist called POV Writing a Fantasy Novel on Spotify, and that seems to be hitting all the markers I need in order to write my book. I'm trying to get better about making playlists because I feel like it can be so helpful to listen to music that inspires you to write your novel. So like as I'm going through, I'm kind of adding songs that I like for each project into their own playlist. And then maybe one day I can kind of share that to readers and be like, these are the vibes, here's the music you should listen to while you're reading this book. The next question is the toughest memory you have of this year with your writing. In May or June, I was trying to figure out when was a good time to say, you know what, I'm done fast drafting and I'm ready to go into draft 1. Technically, I had not figured out the end, right? Like I made an epilogue, which is not the end. I made the epilogue. It's like I know where I want the book ultimately to end up, but I hadn't gotten the scenes for them coming back from the quest and what the town looks like after they come back from the quest and how does that novel end. So, and I know there were also scenes where I was like, I'll fix this later, and I just kind of like put bracketed areas where I'm like, figure this out later. So even though the book wasn't finished, I felt finished with its current iteration. And so I think trying to wrap my head around the idea of I'm done with this current iteration, but I'm not done with the book was hard, because I've always just in the past felt like if I don't complete a scene, the book isn't finished. But it's a work in progress, like that's the whole point. And so getting to be able to wrap my head around that area and that mindset was hard. And I think I struggled with that a little bit of like, can I move on to the next stage even though it's not finished? And I think I answered the question of like, yeah, it's fine to move forward because I know I had so much I wanted to incorporate in this next draft. I was done with its iteration as it is and ready to move forward to the next iteration. The next question is the best memory you have this year of your writing. One memory is Tania was actually so sweet and allowed me to hop on a stream with her this year. And that was one thing I was kind of like wanting to dip my toe into this year. I wanted to get into streaming. But I was a little scared too, but it really, everyone was so nice. Everyone was so, gracious and kind of like very welcoming. And so I really appreciated that, being able to kind of like dip my toe into it without be fully committing into like hosting a stream. But that was like a great time. And then Tania and I got to talk a little bit behind the scenes, and that was great because we had yet to like really interact face to face before, mostly over just chat. I'd be down to do more streams in the future. I think we're moving in August. So I think once I set up my new office there and kind of get more situated with that new apartment, I would be down to do more streaming. So yeah, I think that was one of my best memories this year, was to be able to kind of like see the community in action as we were all like writing together. Because you can make a YouTube video and then you can kind of like, you see the comments that roll in, but interacting with people in real time is like so different, so much more different than just making a video and then waiting for the comments to roll in as people watch it. So like seeing that in real time and seeing like AuthorTube in real time was really cool. Question is something important that you've learned about your writing or something that you want your future self to know. I think it's twofold, right? It's like one thing that I'm learning is I'm changing the way that I'm drafting books, which is interesting because I've always thought of myself as someone who is more of a pantser, not a plotter. I've always been very flexible about my approach to writing, and that knowing that if I have one weekend where I'm doing something really important, it's fine. I don't like stress too much over not writing over a weekend, but then I just make sure to like get back to writing when I can. I'm not so flexible with that with creating videos. As you've seen, I've taken like a month, or at this point 2 months, absence of not posting videos. Like I mentioned in one of my first videos, I struggle with figuring out what to make as content. And then I get a little hard on myself because I'm like, I'm not making content, I'm not making videos, people are gonna forget about me. And then it makes it that much harder to turn the camera on and to vlog, essentially. I would like to approach making videos the same way as I do my writing, where it's okay if I miss a weekend, just pick it up the next weekend. I don't know what that looks like intentionally. Like, I don't know if that looks like making weekly vlogs or if that looks like making YouTube shorts or what that looks like, but I want to make sure that I'm not leaving it by the wayside in order to write. I want it to be in tandem, not separate. And the last question is, what would you like to get accomplished in the next part of the year? What I would like to accomplish in the next 5 months and change is I would like to finish the outline for Project Mushroom, incorporating all the ideas that I had off to the side and kind of weaving them in a little bit more, which would then allow me in January 2026 to begin writing the true first draft. That's goal number 1. My bonus goal would be to figure out the structure of an outline for Project Apple. I think I might have to do a little bit of research into like beekeepers and mead making and a little bit more farm research, essentially. So I think I'm gonna classify that as a bonus reward, or a bonus goal, is to have an outline made and then have some other knowledge about orchards and kind of like what it takes to run a farm now versus what it took to run a farm back then. I think those are attainable. I think those are like easy enough to do. If I'm being honest with myself, I could probably get Project Mushroom's outline done by September. But I'm just kind of baking in a little bit of time for myself, knowing that we're moving and then we're gonna have to unpack and then redecorate the new apartment. And then the holidays are always super busy for me. So knowing that these goals will probably be done before December, but knowing that I'll probably get Project Mushroom's outline done in September or October. I do have a writing retreat coming up in September, which I'm really excited about. I think that's probably when I'll get the outline done, if I like actually sit down and think about it. Or I might try and get Project Apple's outline done, even though that's the bonus goal. And finally, the next thing is to tag people in this mid-year tag. With that in mind, I am going to tag anyone who wants to do the challenge. Go for it. I probably would not have even heard about this if not for Tania, so shout out to Tania. But if there's anyone that wants to try the challenge, I am tagging you. You can feel free to do it and just tag me and I'll go watch you. Yeah, I feel like it's been a really productive 7 months technically, because I'm doing this in July, and I don't think I've ever had as productive writing year so far as I have this year, which is really fun to like acknowledge. And I feel like I've got to kind of chalk that up to having honestly created this account on AuthorTube and like connecting with the community and talking to people. I probably would not have finished my fast draft if it wasn't for this account keeping me accountable. So thank you to AuthorTube for that. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.